All right, so negotiating. We just talked about this. List all the objections you can think of before you go into a negotiation standpoint. I would say pitching and or presenting or packaging, all that stuff, kind of more on the, okay, my exit side, I'm going to sell my selling the property or investing, but there's negotiation in every single thing you do in your life. I especially was reminded of that now that I have 3 kids. I have a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I know that these guys are shrewd negotiators, let me tell you. They get what they want a lot more often than it seems like I do. So I'm trying to take notes. It's amazing. If you hold your breath and stomp your feet, it's one of the best negotiation tactics that you can actually. Nah, my kids don't do that. So, anyways, yeah. In negotiations, list all. If you're going into a negotiation, primarily say you're talking with a seller, perhaps. Sit down and think about all the objections that they might have. So if you're making a 3-offer, doing a 3-offer package, you might sit down and think, why would they not want to why would they object to my vanilla, boring offer? Why would they object to my seller financing offer? Why would they object to my all-cash offer? And you kind of think through that so you can kind of predict what they might say or think about that going forward. Always be a reluctant buyer. Yeah, I'm slumming it in California. Yeah, well, I guess we're really successful in Texas, but I guess we'll take some time to do some business with you, Mr. California broker. That may not be true. I mean, that's not the exact example that we all want to use, but you get the idea. Hey, let me back up. What I've found is the guys that I know are most successful in real estate. In fact, some of my kind of mentor guys I sit down and talk about deals with and stuff like that, I'll show them a property package and they'll just rip me apart. And I thought it was personal for a lot of years. In fact, one guy in particular, my mentor, his name's Robert, and I think he's in his early hundreds. He's been around since I think dirt was invented. And I'll show him a deal. I'll run I'll show him the whole thing, run through my 20-minute presentation, give him the background and all this stuff, and he'll invariably tell me, yeah, that's a crappy deal, it's the worst thing in the world, this is what's wrong with it, that's what's wrong with it, blah, 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 blah. And he's not even trying to negotiate with me. Then he'll write me a check and say, okay, I'll invest with you. And I never got that. I was like, why do you do this? And I think he has a natural ability to be a reluctant buyer in anything, because it really does help your negotiation. What I learned from him and some of the other guys that I learned from, they do the same thing when they're buying something. I don't really need it, even if they're burning inside to have it. I don't need that BMW that's going to snap my head back on the when I step on the gas. But it's the wrong color. These rooms, those are stock rooms. The windows aren't tinted yet. Those kinds of things, because it puts you don't ever want to be over eager. This property, it's in the wrong side of town. We don't usually buy properties in that side of town, but you're a friend, Mr. Broker, so I'll look at what you have to offer, perhaps. Always ask for more than what you expect to get. This is certainly a tactic used by my 2-year-old. If you think, don't limit yourself on what you get. You'd be surprised. In fact, one of the things you want to do is jam your offers full of stuff that you're willing to give away, and you might just get some of this stuff. So if you can pack your offer with a little extra terms, maybe it's not always price. Hey, I want to use my title company. I want to use my escrow. I want the documents to be FedExed at the expense of such and such, or whatever. And then you can negotiate those off. You can use those as diversionary tactics. Okay, well, if you want me to increase my purchase, instead, you might be able to give something away for something that they're asking for. Does that follow me with that? So I might be willing to sacrifice my title officer. Okay, we'll use your title, but I want an extra $5,000 off my purchase price. And always ask for something in return, and that's the exact example that I'm talking about. So if you jam it full of extra stuff, and they say, no, we're not going to do that, then ask for something in return, or else you're going to train them to keep asking you to take stuff off the list. Higher authority is, we talked about yesterday when I was talking about that deal where you have, I got to call my partner. Actually works really well. In fact, one of the things that I'm going to suggest to you is find out as early on in a relationship with somebody if they are the high authority. If you're going to be doing business with somebody, you want to kind of to get that out of the way, because people use it on you as well. Oh, are you the CEO of your company? Do you have a board of directors? Are you working with partners? And you'll find good brokers are going to be pre-qualifying you with this kind of stuff. And so you also want to try to pre-qualify other people when you're doing business with people to try to get that out of the way. I use it all the time. Oh man, I'm going to have to call my partner. I don't think, I'd like to make, that sounds like we can make that deal work at that price, but I'm not sure I can get my partner to go along with it. Let me call him and find out. And then you switch to another tactic called good cop, bad cop. Man, kind of embarrassed. I can't buy that property at $890,000. My partner says, you're out of your mind. We can only do $850,000. So you kind of use that higher authority for your the good cop, bad cop. He's the bad guy. I'm just trying to make this deal work. Can't we just do something to make this work? And that leads me to the last one, which is never offer to split the difference. If you listen to the story of the negotiation that I talked about yesterday, I never said, all right, let's just split the difference, did I? What we did was, this broker calls up and he says, okay, well, the best we can do is $890,000. And I said, oh my gosh, my partner, so we're using 3 items here, right? My partner will never go along with that, but let me call him to find out what we can do. We're only $40,000 apart now. Isn't there some way, use this in place of can we split the difference, isn't there some way we can make this deal work? Man, you just served him up a softball and say, let's split the difference. You just whispered it into his ear because that's what they're going to respond with. It's almost, in American culture, we have this idea of fairness. And so people will automatically move to being fair. Well, that sounds fair. We're only $40,000 apart. Let's split the difference. But if you use that technique well, you would say, oh, fantastic. You want to close them on that split that they just offered. So without committing to it on your side, you want to accept the commitment they just made to you. Does that make sense? So if you're negotiating here, and let's just say you're at 900 and they're at $1 million. And you say, oh man, we're only $100,000 apart. Isn't there some way we can make this deal happen? He says, why don't we split the difference? And I say, I lock it down. Great, $950. We only have $50,000 apart.